All right, everybody, left or right? And remember, your life depends on it. Make a quick decision, left or right. Which is going to be left or right. Your life depends on it. Which way you're going to go. It's an impossible decision. Why? Because you have been separated from any additional information that would allow you to make a determination as to whether to go left or right. And when your life's on the line, you need to actually contextualize what you are being asked. We're going to break this down today. Go deep. Stick with me. You do not want to miss this conversation. My name is Greg LeBoff, and 30 years ago, two things happened to me that forever changed my life. The first is I was almost beaten to death by 8 violent predatory criminals. The second, through what I can only consider to be an act of divine intervention, I met and forged a lifelong friendship with an individual that was considered to be among one of the world's top combat educators.
Think about it, Greg. That's how you can fight outside your weight. Raw street fighting, straight blasting, headbutt in the elbow. Because if you're in a slugfest, there's always a bigger, stronger guy than you. And they don't have any weight classes out in the street.
Yeah. Not only did this individual share with me the strategies, tactics, and tools for how to actually protect myself and my family from violent predatory criminal assault, but he shared with me the insight, the knowledge, and the mindset of what it actually takes to become a modern day protector. For the past 30 years, I have done nothing but help weaponize other good men so they too can protect themselves and their family. Each week I go live and I share the strategies, tactics, tools, insight, and mindset that you need to become that protector. Welcome to the Education of a Weaponized Man podcast. All right, everybody, listen. Before the intro, I just asked left or right. If someone asked you left or right, make a decision, right? Your life depends on the outcome of this decision. Do you want to go left or do you want to go right? And they're pressing you to make a decision. What's hard about this whole fucking scenario is that what I did was I decontextualized the question. I'm just giving you left or right. There's no other information to allow you to contextualize what the fuck I'm talking about. Left or right what? Turn left or right? Walk left or right? My right or left arm? Like, what are you fucking talking about? You need more context to be able to actually understand the practicality of the fucking question. And when your life is at stake, it fucking matters. If nothing's at stake, it doesn't make a difference. Okay, what I want to talk about tonight is, I called this episode The Segregation of Skill. I have, talked about this for probably 30 years with clients. And oftentimes when men approach me, see, this makes sense too, right? But when people start to really figure out what I do, okay, so just meaning that they start going, okay, I don't want to be a combat athlete. I'm not looking to learn a martial art. I just want to protect my fucking family. If you take my average client, and let's just an average age of probably late 30s to early 40s, averaging people out, right? I typically only work with men that are over 30, have families, and right up to men that are in their late 60s, even early 70s. So the average age, let's just call it fucking 40. Okay? These 40-year-old men, many of which, they're usually pretty healthy, meaning they work out 2-3 times a week, but they have jobs with high demands. They have family, kids, responsibilities, spouses, all this type of stuff. So, of course, it doesn't leave a ton of time for, working out and extra hobbies and all this other type of stuff. So they're busy men. So they come to me, decent shape, they're motivated, they want to learn to protect their family, right? They don't want to be combat athletes, all this stuff. What I'm painting for you right now is I'm contextualizing the people that come to me. They come to me because they go, listen, I don't have a lot of time, but I have an absolute imperative desire to learn to protect my family from the type of shit that is going on in this fucking world. Okay? Everyone should understand what that means. If you've ridden the LRT lately, if you've gone downtown Edmonton lately, if you've just out at kids' sporting events, if you're just driving out in our fucking traffic and caught in construction, I'm talking road rages in neighborhoods. I mean, just violence is happening everywhere. People are living under extreme 24-hour, 7-day-a-week pressure and stress and economic and religious and political, and everyone's fucking, there's somebody typically within a few kilometers of you that is ready to fucking snap. Whether this person is a repeat, criminal, or just some guy who's fucking at his wit's end, and you happen to be there when the final straw breaks the camel's back, so to speak. That's the context of why men come to me. I want to learn to use extreme violence when I'm legally, morally justified, facing reasonable threat of imminent grievous bodily harm or death, I want to be able to fucking protect. That's the context. So everything that I teach them has to fit within that context. Now, the segregation of skill. This makes sense though, right? When people come to me, almost everybody has a fear, right? I mean, everybody has lots of fears, but everybody has a fear. So let's look at this contextually. When it comes to violence, a lot of men come to me going, hey man, do you teach the knife? Do you teach how to use a knife? And it's like, well, yeah, but why are you asking that? Well, I'm just wondering because that's the thing that feared. Like everyone's got a fucking knife these days. Like I read another thing again. Father out walking Jasper Ave, walking as the kids, and a guy fucking comes up to him randomly and fucking pulls a knife out and starts stabbing the guy. Like riding the LRT, there's fucking guys, junkies, got fucking needles, knives. Like I want to learn how to use a knife. So I want to learn how to defend against a knife. Okay? So what they've done now is they are segregating a skill set. Why? Because of fear. And it's rational fear. It's like, fuck yeah, man, there's lots of knife attacks. What about, these guys fucking kicking down your door at 3 a.m. in the morning, and they got fucking guns. They walk in the house, they're fucking shooting up the house, whatever it is. So, I mean, like, everybody can look at violence and you're going to have a fear. If you're smart, you're going to have a fear because you're going to see something on the news, read in the paper. You're going to have a friend that went through something. A fucking, guy come up to me and fucking tried to carjack me and put a shotgun through the fucking window, like whatever it is. So everybody comes in typically with a fear. There's something that got them to go, I got to take action, right? There's too many guys carrying knives, too many stabbings happening, too many shootings happening. So they look around and they find somebody like myself and they go, okay, this guy deals with violence, right? So I'm going to go to him and he's going to help me solve my fear. So when they come in, what they are asking when they say, hey, listen, do you guys teach weapon? Do you teach knife defense? Do you teach gun defense? They're asking me, can you help me solve the problem of left or right? Okay, that's all. They're just going, if somebody pulls a knife at me, I got to know how to defend against a knife. Someone pulls a gun at me, that's left. Someone pulls a gun at me, I got to learn how to defend against a gun, that's right. Okay, now I understand the fear, but the problem is that you cannot segregate skill sets. You have to understand that training, especially training for violence, has to always be contextualized in the greater overall practical purpose for which you are training, which is the ability to use violence to protect yourself. Now, we have no way of knowing what type of an assault you're going to get into. So you can say, God, man, knife assaults are on the rise. These are not, I'm just using this as an example. But if you said 80% of all assaults, all violent assaults involve a knife, okay? If that was the statistic, you say, well, we do know what type of assault I'm likely to be in. 80% of them involve a weapon, and not just a weapon, specifically the knife, Greg. So I want to solve this. Okay, great. So let's say you have this stat that you say, okay, very high likelihood or probability that if and when I am assaulted and my life and my family's life is in jeopardy, there will be a knife present. Not just a weapon, but specifically a knife. The problem is that you still cannot decontextualize what is going to happen in that violent situation, in that confrontation, even if that knife is present, even if we know 80% likelihood that the knife is present. Because knife, I'm using air quotes for those that are listening to this versus those that are watching this on our YouTube channel. Even if the knife is present, there is no such thing as singular knife defense. Meaning, if I right now just took out a knife and said, okay, let me show everybody, let me teach everybody knife defense or knife work. First, there's the grip. How the fuck do we hold the knife? Okay? People would argue there's saber grip, there's ice pick grip, there's reverse grip, there's all these different types of grips. Paul, my instructor, used to always say, the best way to hold the knife? And everybody would be like, what? No, how, man? Tell me the secret. He'd like, with your fucking hand. Okay, that's the best fucking way. I've tried it with my foot. It doesn't fucking work. Okay, so he would make fun of them just being like, stop arguing over stupid semantics. Okay, you have no idea what grip might be best in a combat situation because you're not in the situation. We don't fucking know those little nuances. You are decontextualizing something that is alive and trying to make it singular or static. If in the middle of in the heat of the moment, and all of a sudden, boom, your hand grabbed at a knife or picked up a broken bottle or whatever it was, and you happen to have it in a reverse grip. That's just the way you picked it up because that was the quickest functional way to pick that thing up. Then you have reverse grip. Then that's the best way. It's in your hand, right? Use it. If it happened to be facing up like a saber grip, then fucking use it. Right? So I'm trying to get this thing again where if I just started talking about grips, then I started talking about slashing strokes or stabbing, strokes, or I started talking about the angles of attack and the reverbs and the path of travel. You can absolutely take something like the knife, take the subject of a knife, and you can start decontextualizing it, pulling it out, breaking it apart. Just like imagine if I threw a fucking TV set in front of you, a car, an old fucking vacuum cleaner, whatever, and said, take it apart. Most things you can take apart, especially back in the day. Nowadays, it's getting a little harder to do this shit. But back in the day, you could rip a fucking car apart from, fucking the headlights to the taillights. You could dismantle everything and reassemble the fucking thing. Right? You could work on shit. The problem is, again, when somebody says, oh, teach me the knife, and they start talking about, show me how to grip it, how to carry it, how to draw it, how to slash with it, how to stab with it, how it reverbs, what are the target, let's talk about cut zones and bleed times and all these different fucking things. You can break all of these things apart, but you are decontextualizing that skill set. You are segregating that skill set from other skill sets. So let me throw this out there. If you learned the grips, the slashes, the stabs, the angles, the targeting systems, you learned the triggers and the switches on the body, different cuts or different stabs, what happens if you hit an organ or what happens if you cut arteries or just hit veins and all of these different things. You get all of these individual segregated pieces of knife combat. Okay, now the problem is though, you have no fucking idea how many people there's going to be, the location, the time, the lighting, whether you got family with you, friends with you, where they're at, proximity, angles, all this stuff. What I'm getting at is that you still have to have overall strategies. You can't just have knife strategies because understand something, right? There is no superior tool all the time. So I don't care if you're talking about a gun, if you're talking about a knife, if you're talking about a hand grenade, or a fucking bazooka, or whatever the fuck kind of crazy shit you want to talk about, there is no superior weapon or tool, those are synonyms, all the time. There is in that moment of time, that moment of time might be a fraction of a second. It might be 3-4 minutes, but it might be a fraction of a second where the gun is the greatest weapon to all. It is superior. It is the king of the jungle. But then a fraction of a second later, when something changes, the range, the angle, the lighting, the pressure, there is just hundreds, if not thousands, of subtle nuances that could come to conspire to make the tool, that gun, or that knife, whatever is superior in that moment, to make it inferior a fraction of a second later. And now what people like to think, and this is true to a degree, if my weapon of choice is a knife, and so all of my training goes into the knife, okay, what I'm hoping is that my skills are so great, my depth of understanding of the knife so great, my attributes with the knife so great, so superior, that regardless of any changes, any subtle nuances, any shift in pressure or range or numbers of people or angles of attack or my own personal state on a day when I'm more tired or a day when I'm injured or a day when I got the flu or a day when I happen to have my kids plus my friends' kids with me. And, whatever it is, no matter what the subtle nuances, no matter what the context of a live, real-world combative situation, which is absolute and total fucking chaos, no matter all of that, however that might change, my skills are so superior that I make the knife work every second at every angle the entire time. How fucking ludicrous does that sound? Does that sound true or false? Does that sound even remotely possible? Anybody that even thinks true but doesn't have the balls to say it, never mind somebody that actually says it out loud, is a fucking retard. You can't possibly even think for a second that that would be true. How good you would have to be. How superior you'd have to be. It's incalculable. Like it's not even fathomable. So now you're starting to understand, well, great, when you put it like that, like all these different variables, well, yeah, like how could it be? Okay, so now you're understanding the overall context of the situation, which is why I'm always saying context determines content. So you can't segregate your skill sets, as nice as that would be. See, why do people want to do that though? Because when you have a problem, especially when you have a fear, like, fuck man, knives scare me. Knives have a high mortality rate, man. So when you got someone that has this understanding of how terrifying knives are, how terrifying gun violence is, how hard it is to defend against these types of things, what we want is we would love for a singular solution. Your life's on the line, left or right. Which way do you want to go? Okay, well, just hang on a second. I like that. I like that it's either left or right. I got a 50-50 shot right off the bat, and I don't even have the other information yet. Please give me a little more information. You get a little more information, and now you're 100% sure you go left. That would be great. Violence isn't like that. No, I don't care how much you segregate a skill, like knife work or firearms work or ground fighting or your striking arts or whatever the fuck you want to do. Whatever skill set you want to segregate and learn, it is incomplete. And that training, segregation type training, is often, skill training is often put down to memorization over deeper understanding. It's again, learn my grips. Okay, I got my grips. Learn the strikes. Okay, I got my strikes. I got my slashes, got my stabs, I got my reverbs, I got my angles of attack. Like it's just, someone just wants you to write out a curriculum for them and they can go, like, I can study this, I can practice this, I can rep this out, I learn this, and now I'm good to go. I'm not saying that there's not some value in that, because you do have to learn all of those things I'm saying. You do have to learn different grips with the knife, different angles of attack, reverbs. You got to learn the personality and characteristics and emotional content of a blade and all this type of stuff. That is part of it. But that training is integrated into the greater overall functional practical application, meaning your knife skill sets have to be built on top of fundamental overarching strategies and tactics. And they have to be integrated with other tools. This is why when I talk about weapons, you'll never hear me talk about weapons without first contextually setting the scene for people, saying, everything that I'm teaching you to do, anything I ever teach anyone to do, it works. Natural tools, or let's just use the word we're using tonight, natural weapons, designed weapons, expedient weapons. Those are the three categories. There is no other weapons that exist in the world. Someone says a gun, a rifle. Those are designed weapons. Somebody manufactured those. I don't remember digging in my backyard and uncovering a natural gun. You know what I mean? It's not a fucking element. Okay? So that is a designed weapon. A broken bottle, a fucking hat, a fucking broken pool cue, a mop handle, a branch off it. Those are expedient weapons. These are things that you can find in your environment, man-made or otherwise, but they weren't designed specifically to be used as a weapon. A fucking pair of women's pantyhose can kill a motherfucker. Wrap it around his neck and keep holding, choke that fucker and don't let go. You're going to murder him. That wasn't designed to be used to strangle people, although it has many fucking times by many, serial killers. Okay, but that is an expedient weapon. Okay, a natural weapon is something you have on your body. You stake your thumb or your finger and you rip an eye out, or go punch past the eye into the brain and scramble the brain, right? You use your teeth to bite someone, use your forearm or elbow to hack someone, the top of your head, the heel of your foot, whatever it is. You're using the natural tools on your body. Those are fucking weapons. So you can, imagine this, right? You can have one hand, natural, raking with the fingers, ripping at the ear, firing off the elbow, and the other hand could have a knife in it, a nice 7.5-inch serrated fucking blade. Okay, or it could have a broken bottle in your other hand, whatever it is. So you are going to be this. You should be this walking embodiment. Contextually speaking, you are the amalgamation of natural, designed, and expedient weapons. And these tools, as we call them, are on us all the time. You know what I mean? I carry my natural tools everywhere, but I also carry a tack light and a tactical pen. And most times I carry, well, not most times, I'm always carrying a knife. Why? Because it's man's oldest tool. I don't specifically carry it as a weapon. I carry it as a tool. But these things, and then, I have a hat. I often have a jacket or a hoodie or a sweater or whatever the fuck. These natural design and expedient weapons are around us, or tools, as we call them, because that's all they are, is tools, are on us or around us all the fucking time. So you have to be very careful. So whenever I get someone coming and saying, hey, listen, I really want to learn how to defend with the knife. That's fantastic. And I say, I'm teaching you knife defense right now. Knife defense / offense. I'm teaching you combative knife right now. And people go, well, shouldn't we have a knife in our hand? I don't have a knife. You don't have a knife on you right now. Say, no, I know. You're teaching me footwork. You're teaching me angulation. You're teaching me strategies like Trojan horses, presentation, flashbangs, smash and grabs, rolling turrets. You're teaching me all these strategies, but Greg, remember, I don't have a knife in my hand. And remember when I joined, I remember being very specific, saying, I wanted you to teach me knife. I am teaching you knife. No, Greg. Again, I don't have a knife in my hand. So what is happening in this scenario, which plays out over and over and over and over and over and over again in my career? And I have to say, well, listen, the fact that you don't have a knife in your hand right now is simply because you have no foundational skills that are mandatory to actually be able to wield that specific tool. You can't even wield your natural tools right now because you have no force structure, no footwork, no sense or understanding of range. You have no sense or understanding of angulation. Most importantly, you have no strategies. You don't even understand the bad guy blueprints. You don't even understand how to read the pre-incident indicators, the body language, like communication, interpersonal communication, behavior patterns. You have none of these things. So that's like literally saying, Greg, I hired you to build me my dream fucking house. And in that dream house, in my master bedroom, I have the bathtub of my fucking dreams. And here you are, 3 months into the project, and I still have no bathtub in my room upstairs. Yeah, we just finished the foundation, pouring the foundation, and we got the framers framing the house right now. Yes, I get all that, Greg. But remember, when I hired you to build my house, I told you I wanted that bathtub, my dream bathtub in that one closet, and I still haven't seen it yet. And you won't see it yet. You know what I mean? Why? Because nothing's ready for it yet. But it doesn't mean that we're not building to it. Doesn't mean we have to frame things in before we can run the plumbing. You have to build the foundation before you can even frame things in. There is a fucking process. You're building a fucking house. Most people understand the greater overarching context of building a home. It has multiple facets to it. It is not just a bathtub. It is not just a bathroom. It is not just plumbing. It is not just framing. It is not just insulation. It is not just a foundation, right? It has many parts to it. Yet, when it comes to self-defense, martial arts, whatever, people love to segregate skills. Now, just because I want to bring this up, because most people, this is where your brain is going to go. Probably went there 10 minutes ago, but I'll address it right now. The birth of mixed martial arts. Oh, there it is. Mixed martial arts. Greg, this is why, laughing at me, mocking me, this is why I do MMA, buddy. MMA kicks, punches, wrestles, clinches, and ground fights. We do all 4 ranges of combat. Well, that's fucking awesome. So you guys use natural tools. What about the design tools? Well, we don't do that because can't bring a knife into the cage. Okay. What about your expedient weapons? What about mass attack? What about terrain changes, environmental changes? What about, if your family's there? What about understanding the legal consequences and how to navigate the legal system and being able to articulate reasonable presence of imminent grievous bodily harm or death? There are so many skill sets, knowledge points. There are so many other features in the house of violence that if you think just learning to strike at long range within a kill box, within kicking and punching range, learning to strike, and then clinching in the kill box one-on-one, and then wrestling on the ground one-on-one within the kill box in a contained environment with rules, if you think that is a complete house, well, then there's not much I can do for you. Because you're blinded to the fact that you are missing massively important elements to your house. That's like finally getting your dream bathtub that you were in such a rush to get, and you're sitting up there in your broom, and you're sitting in that bathtub, and you're like, wait a minute, there's no faucet. How do I get the water? Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't put plumbing in. You just wanted the bathtub. You didn't actually tell me that you wanted water in the bathtub. You just told me you wanted the bathtub. You were in such a rush to get the bathtub that we segregated everything else out and just we built the bathroom, but we didn't have the plumbing put in. I didn't know that was a part of it. You decontextualize it. Then the guy gets pissed going, are you fucking stupid? Who the fuck wants a bathtub with no fucking water in it? What the fuck do you think a bathtub's for? Oh, welcome to my world. What the fuck do you think strategies and tactics are for? You can't break shit down. You can't segregate skills to just teach me the knife, teach me gun defense, teach me how to use a stick, teach me how to use a lead pipe, teach me how to use a baton, teach me how to use pepper spray, teach me how to get out of a choke, teach me how to do this. It doesn't fucking work, man. Trust me, you can teach people the segregated skill sets. You can decontextualize it all day long. Matter of fact, most businesses that are in the business of teaching, air quotes, self-defense or martial arts, that is exactly what you fucking do. You decontextualize everything, you segregate every single skill set, and you attach belts to it. You attach, the white belt will learn this information, then the blue, then the brown or purple, whatever the fuck you want to go through. You just segregate, plot out a course that takes 10 to 15 years to get to a certain skill set and keep people coming back every single month paying you monthly fees. It's a great fucking business model, right? Oh, you want to get to the sparring class? Well, that's separate. We segregate that. So as a beginner for the first year or two, I shouldn't really spar? No. Well, you could come, but we'd have to charge you, of course. Get into the secret sparring club. But really, you should only spar at this point or that point or whatever it is. You get what I mean? Segregate. When yet, if you're training for self-defense, whether you've been training 1 day, 1 year, 5 years or 10 years, or 50 years, self-defense, the second you get into a violent conflict, requires totality from the very beginning. Now, I'm just going to repeat that. Violence requires a totality of skill set, mindset, knowledge, and training, right? All of that stuff from the first time you experience violence. The hope is, in a very short period of time, you put everything on the front. You give them the full framework. You give somebody all of it. That's why you have to understand strategies. When I teach what I basically can liken to guerrilla warfare. You are teaching people the full frameworks. There's 4 different levels that give people that can build out the full house. I'm not saying that once you go through all 4 levels, that's the end of it. You've perfected it. No. You can train, practice, grow, and develop. The more time you have, the greatest gift we all have is time. The more time that you have, the more you can sharpen and hone the skills. But there are 4 levels to where I would say you have built a complete house. Now, continue to decorate that fucking house. Continue to make it comfortable. Continue to upgrade it, right? All that stuff. Each of these 4 levels can be taught in 16 hours. So level 1, 16 hours. Level 2, 16 hours. Level 3, 16 hours. Right? Level 4, 16 hours. All of these in 16 hours. Okay? And what that will do is build out the full framework and give you the full contextual understanding of violence in combat. Then you go deeper. But that is 64 hours. Okay, 64 hours. That is not a lot of fucking time. But that has to be the mandate of anybody claiming to teach practical self-defense. It has to be expedient. This is what has taken 30 years of my life. And trust me, I didn't do this. Like, my 30 years invested in continuing to refine the frameworks and streamline. Everyone understands there's anything that you've ever done, that you've invested time and energy into, that took you, let's say, 10 years of your life, you can teach it and you can progress some new guy that starts today in probably less than half the time, in a quarter of the time it took you. My 30 years, I have learned and developed my teaching skills, my knowledge, my frameworks, my examples, my stories, all of the different things where I can pass on to somebody in literally a third of the time what took me 30 years of developing. But my 30 years is standing on the shoulders of my instructors 30, 40, 50 years. You get what I mean? They expedited the process for me, and their mentors did it for them. And then you got men that go into combat and blood test this shit, and they come back and they expedite it for all of us. Like, so nobody is like, no one does this alone. But when you're talking about preparing people for violence, everybody that's genuinely involved in this industry and training and going into battles and war and whether that's as, on the front lines of law enforcement, military, whatever the fuck it is, civilian, doesn't matter. The process is constantly being refined, streamlined. And that has to always be the mandate so that you can actually say to somebody with all sincerity and say, listen, give me 64 hours and there is nothing somebody's going to show you in combat that you haven't seen. You will have the strategy, tactics, and tools to understand all of that. But you have to continue to then define and sharpen and train and hone those skill sets. You can't just stop. But if you were to decontextualize the information, segregate the skills out. So let's look at it this way. If you looked at me, if I looked at myself, if I snapped my fingers and became 100% a businessman, an entrepreneur, I would take my first, let's say one of my levels, 16 hours, what I'm teaching people the posturing predator. That's problem number 1 you have to solve. I'm solving that for people in 16 hours, getting a functional result. Yes, they still have to continue to practice and train and hone the skills and build their attributes. That is absolutely the program. But you understand, you're getting all of it in 16 hours. You're solving that problem. I'm giving you all the solutions in the greater context. As a businessman, I would take, each lesson is built on the next lesson. So there's 16 lessons. I would take lesson number 1 and I would deconstruct it. I would decontextualize it, and I would take out of lesson number 1, I would turn that into no less than probably 8 to 10 lessons. So over 8 to 10 lessons. So remember, lesson 1, each of my lessons is a 1-hour private intensive done one-on-one with myself. Because one-on-one in the room, you're going to get what I need you to get in that hour. Because I'm fucking spoon feeding it to you. You can't fucking miss. Because if you go, I don't understand what you're talking about, I have 100 analogies that I've done when I've been teaching thousands of people over the last 30 years that I can go, oh yeah, think of it this way. Oh, yeah, okay, got it. Yeah, of course you did. Why? Because I've done this for 30 fucking years for thousands of fucking people, right? So I can get you in that 1 hour all of this information that you need to get within that hour so that we can move forward. I could break that into easily 10 hours. But what would I be doing? Segregating the skill sets. Why would you do that? Because if I'm charging $300 an hour, well, if I'm giving you a certain amount of information in an hour, but I could break that up over 10 hours, I'm going to get paid $300 an hour times 10 hours is a lot fucking better than $300 for 1 hour and we move on. $300 for 16 hours, like $300 an hour times 16 is a fuck of a lot less money than $300 an hour, break each of those 16 lessons, break them out, segregate the skill sets, and do 10 hours for each one. That is a lot fucking less, okay, than, that's 160 hours times 300. That's a lot fucking more money. So it would be in my best interest as an entrepreneur to segregate my skill sets. Well, what do you think gyms are doing? What do you think gyms are doing? That's why belts exist. That's why the structure and the hierarchy exists. They don't really have any interest in getting you as good as you can get, as fast as you can get, right? Because, well, that just is stupid. They want to keep you coming back. You're a customer. You know what I mean? The best business to get into is something like a fucking car wash. Why? Because you can clean their car, and 3 days later, Mother Nature, it rains, it snows, it does something, they sand the streets, and they're back. You just want people to keep coming back. In self-defense or martial arts or combat sport, what keeps them coming back? Well, the lure of more knowledge. I'm sitting there right now saying, well, 64 hours, I'll give you all the frameworks. That's it, 64 hours. And then I'll show you how to continue to train this on your own to actually develop and get good. So you don't need me after that. Most people stick around. Why? Because again, I've been coaching for 30 years. So it's much fucking easier if I'm there with you, spoon feeding you, guiding you, holding your hand, walking you through every step of it. They just get results that are undeniable. It's a lot fucking harder and a lot slower to just do it on your own. But that's it. But I'm honest about it. And say, no, I'll give you everything you need. I'll show you how to be autonomous. Here's everything you need. This is how you train. Matter of fact, if you ever get stumped and have a question, phone me. I'll answer it for you. I'll give that to you. Do this, do that. No, don't do that, do this. You're straying off the path, go back this way. Or we build a relationship, you keep coming to me, I keep contextualizing it in the greater application of what you want, and then I just literally guide you through it and accelerate your growth. That's what people pay me for. They don't pay me for the knowledge and the information. Well, they do because they don't want to take the time to figure that out. They have no source of where to go get it. Most guys aren't going to do what I did, which is, train and live with the hand-to-hand combat instructor for the Navy SEAL teams. They're not going to, put their life on hold and go do that and spend $300,000-$400,000, to get that done. They're just not going to do that. So yes, the information is readily available through me, but they're paying for implementation. They're paying because I have 30 years of experience of doing this with people, and I can just give them one or two different analogies. I can show them, I can correct their body and say, there you go, look at that. Floodgates open, they do it. So I told you. Fucking easy, right? Yeah, it is. When you have somebody showing you like that. Yeah, I know. Awesome. That's why I did one-on-one with Paul. That's why I did one-on-one with my instructors, with Ron, with Tom. That's why I did that. Because it fucking works. It accelerates it. So I paid for it. And I put in you get what I mean. So the whole big thing with this, stop fucking segregating. You can't segregate. If you want to get good at knife defense, you want to get good at gun defense, you want to get good at mass attack, you want to get good at striking, you want to get good at close quarter combat, you want to get good on the ground, you want to get good at reading pre-incident indicators, you want to get good at understanding the legal, necessities or the legal understanding of what constitutes lethal threat and self-defense and all that stuff. If you want to get good at regulating your body's physiological response, you want to get good at understanding killer instinct, viciousness, emotional control, all that stuff, ozone, all this type of shit, well, guess what? It's all got to be put together. It's all got to be integrated development. You can't segregate skill sets. Okay, so that's it. I want people to understand that. I want people to think about that. And what you need to do is commit to the training. But you got to find somebody that actually uses into the whole person integrated development. Okay, so you want to learn knife defense? No problem. Starts at day 1. Level 1, get through the first 16 hours. Then get through the next level, 16 hours. Then get to the third level, 16 hours. Get to the fourth level, 16 hours. At the end of those 16 hours, at the end of those 64 hours, I don't give a fuck if it's natural, designed, or expedient tools, weapons in your hands. You will fucking understand. I don't care if it's mass attack. I don't care if it happens on the ground, off the ground. I don't care if it happens when you're lying in your bed under a blanket. I don't care if it happens in a stairwell, in an elevator. I don't give a fuck if it happens while you're waiting in line at a hockey game or in a road rage and guys jump in the car. I don't give a fuck where it happens. I don't care if it happens in a fucking bathroom when you're standing at the urinal. Makes no fucking difference. Why? Because I have not segregated your skill sets into whole person integrated fucking development. And you'll stop thinking about knives versus guns versus clubs versus striking versus kicking versus ground fighting. You'll stop segregating even how you think about violence. Violence doesn't give a fuck. Violence is everywhere. It is all things. It is alive. It is dynamic. And it is absolute fucking chaos. And the whole goal of your training needs to teach you how to pull a little bit of order out of that fucking chaos, no matter what that chaos fucking looks like. No matter how much it fucking changes. Pull order out of fucking chaos. Try to segregate that shit. If you segregate your skill sets, you fucking die when it comes to extreme violence. Why the fuck would you train for anything else? Who the fuck wants to train for mediocre violence? What the fuck is mediocre violence? What's lukewarm violence? That's schoolyard bullshit. You want to train for extreme fucking violence by extreme predatory fucking criminals. Train for that shit. You can always throttle back because not every situation is extreme violence. But if you're not training for that, you cannot throttle up. Okay, so that is my sermon on segregation. Okay, don't segregate your skill sets. Understand the big picture. Train it the right way. Do it the first time. Understand the context is content. What do you want? What are you training for? Okay, if you want to segregate and just become a jiu-jitsu guy, that's beautiful. Go for it. You want to be a boxer? Fucking awesome. Go for it. You want to fight MMA? Wicked. Love it. These guys are gladiators. But if you're talking violence, segregation won't work. All right, everybody. Listen, that's it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys tuning in, listening, like, share, follow. We fucking love it. I love it. If you guys are looking to weaponize, if you guys are trying to figure it out, man, this is what I do. Hit me up, DM me. Check out weaponize16.ca. Because I'll tell you what, nothing kills more men than fucking regret. And there is no excuses for men. Again, a violent confrontation with predatory criminals in today's day and age, it's inevitable. I say it in the opening. It's a foregone conclusion. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of fucking when. If you want to be prepared, reach out. That's what I do. Love to help you. All right, everybody, that's it. Stay safe, stay weaponized. Chat again soon, everybody.